はもう増えだけど学校の名前はまた違う名前。
学校の名前はなんていう名前にする？
AKAHIAO Nature Institute。
AKAHIAO。
AKAHIAO。
AKAHIAO what does that mean？
AKAHIっていうのはさっき見た後ろの山、が
山の名前？
そうでやっぱ本当にこの学校はこの場所から来てるインスピレーションはこの場所から来てるっていうことを本当入れたくて、だから名前もAKAHIで青っていうのは、日本語では青ブルーだけど、ハワイアンでは青っていうのはいろんな意味があって、一つはrealm 世界っていう意味もあるし、そうあともし雲っていう意味もあるのね。青ってアロアってニュージーランドは雲の長い雲の島っていうの言葉なのね。そうでプラス青日昇りっていうのかな、日昇りっていうのは朝日っていう意味もあるのね。そうdawn sunrise だからちょうどそのでそれで赤日っていうこの言葉はハワイアンで一応エカヒって聞いたことある？エカヒっていうのは実はナンバーワンなのね。1？いやだからその一つでみんなで一つの世界でライジングするっていう。
The world and sunrise だからエデュケーションだから、その人のなんか可能性をこう目を出すっていうか、なんかそういうイメージがあって、でしかも一番っていう。
今一番っていうか一つでみんな一つの輪っていう感じ。ナンバーワンじゃなくて、そうみんな仲間で、そう共通ハーモニー。
面白いね。ワンっていう意味合いでも全然違う意味合いで。
いやそうだ、それがインスピレーション名前。
You were in education, right? That's what you studied.
ね、昔は実はサイエンスだったのね。I did biology and biomedical engineering.
Biomedical engineering からエデュケーションに行ったんだ。逆じゃないんだ。
で、それでそれをやってて、でやっぱラブの仕事は好きじゃないな。私はやっぱもっと自然に関わる仕事をしたいなって言って、で自然のことをしてたら、でも世界の世界今地球を滅ぼしてるとじゃないけど、人間は悪いあれでしょ、関係でしょ今。それを直さなきゃいけないんだって本当に思って、それを直すためにはエデュケーション。
There's a saying that if tomorrow if all animals died, then the planet will die. If humans die the next day and we all leave this planet, the planet will flourish.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But we also have a big role in nature.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like the only species that, I don't know, like in many ways, like we can control, we can manipulate. We also have the power to think and visualize the future.
Yeah, so I think humans are special on this planet for sure, because we like you said, we have consciousness. And we're probably the only animal that we know of that has that ability to, foresee the future or to think, even to understand, how would a cat think or a tree think if I did this? Other animals aren't thinking.
We might not understand.
But we can actually,
like they might have it that we just don't understand it. But as for now, I think for humans, like mammals, maybe dolphins might be another very similar kind of mammal to humans, a different way, because they're so complicated and they have their own language. But in a sense, humans, if we vision what we vision, I think we really can pursue in that way. But it just depends on the values and the beliefs and the culture of the people.
Yeah, and I think people, I believe that people are good. We're born good, but sometimes we forget.
Do you think we have both? John Lennon used to talk about how there's Hitler and also in Christ in us, so we both have
that's also Buddha's teachings is that we have seeds to be anything we want.
Okay.
It's which seeds you water.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and so that's education, and I believe that. Yeah, and so that's why it's the school education is, how are you gonna, what part of your personality are you gonna grow? What kind of human?
You learn. you went to school in Japan
Mm-hmm.
and you went to school in the US as well.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a big difference in the way the way Japan educates people and the way American education system is structured?
Yeah, I think so.
What was different that you saw?
I mean, I think the big thing that I never really overcame was that in the U.S. you're supposed to speak up,
Right. Yeah.
and in Japan you're not really supposed to ask
so true.
questions.
That's so true.
So I never, because in high school in the U.S. they're like, oh, you need classroom participation, but I was like the quiet student. I was good
Were you?
studying, but yeah, I was
Yeah.
really quiet because I
This
got
was in the U.S.
yeah, this is in the U.S.
Like,
and I think that
so-
was my Japanese culture
Okay.
that I never really learned to like ask questions and to question the teacher
You were still in
You know?
elementary school.
in Japan. Yeah.
That's interesting because just for the people that are watching, Julie was born and raised in Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was there for 9 years, and then after she turned 9, she went
Hawaii. Yeah.
So this is like your other home.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was born and raised in Colorado up until 12.
そうだよね。
So and then after I graduated elementary school, I went to Japan. So we both have seen different ways the two countries does education, but we lived like kind of like the opposite life.
And I actually went back to Japan.
Oh, you went back?
Yeah, when I was
How old were you?
12.
Oh, wow.
And I went to international
9, 10,
school.
11, 12. So you only spent four years over
Yeah.
here.
And then I went to Japan
Oh,
for
shoot.
4 years.
So after 中学校は日本
中学校、そうだよ、そう、中学
で
校。
高校も日本
で、高校は半分アメリカにまた持ってきた。
こっち
高校はメインランド、や。
Oh,
2
where'd you
年
go
だ
on the
け
mainland?
Massachusetts.
へ
And that's a whole nother また全然違う
I'm
世界。
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So だから本当いろんな Yeah, I've seen so many different types
It's different,
of school. Yeah, from a different point of view. And I think for me, every single place I went, I was still always an outsider, right?
Yeah.
Because
you
Nihon
feel that
だったら Yeah, because in Japan my name was Julie Rogers, right?
Uh-huh.
Julie Rogers. That's not a Japanese name.
No.
So I mean, it wasn't so bad, but kids can tease me.
What was your environment around you like? Was it all Japanese local people?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
were,
very
like-
Japanese. Yeah.
But you must have seen yourself Japanese though,
Yeah. I mean, I didn't speak a word of English until I
right?
moved
So you
here.
were Japanese, pretty.
Yeah.
You're like any other person, but just the way
Right.
you looked was different.
Well, I think I looked pretty Japanese, right?
I don't know, like
Yeah. I think
I have a lot of Hapa friends, like the U.S. and Japanese. When I see their younger pictures, their Caucasian blood is stronger, so they could be blonde and have blue eyes. But when I started hanging out with them, it was in high school, so the Asian blood kind of takes over the body, I guess. So the eyes turn brown and the hair color changes. So I don't know. Maybe you look Asian now. I don't know if you still look the same when you were younger.
Yeah, I think I look pretty Asian.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm only quarter Caucasian because my dad is half Caucasian
Uh-huh.
and half Indonesian.
Oh,
so-
is he? Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
he's half Indonesian.
Yeah, Indonesian Dutch,
Oh, wow.
basically. Yeah, and my mom's Japanese.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
He
my
must have an interesting story too. Right?
Yeah,
The way
yeah,
He was
he-
raised as well, which is
he
I guess,
does.
a
yeah.
whole different topic.
Yeah. And I mean, he's another one I think he moved to the U.S. when he was 12.
Oh, so he
He was in Holland till then.
He was in Holland till
Yeah,
then. Wow.
11, and then he went to the U.S.
So he's a third culture kid too,
Yeah,
in a way.
for sure. And then he lived in Japan for over 20 years.
I remember when I was when I was going to school in the U.S. They focused on how we progressed during that term. So we would have like a project. The teacher would tell us to choose a topic, and at the end we would do like a presentation in front of the whole class. And I remember I would choose whales, or I would choose penguins as a topic, and we have like 3 or 4 people in our group. We would do our research, and then we would like make booklets or whatever we wanted to present in front of the school or in front of the classroom. That would be 1 semester for that class, right? So in America, they taught us how it's important to engage with a group, like kind of find your skill, where you fit in that group, and also presentation in front of everybody was some of the things that I learned in the U.S. So it was a progress, right? And then the teacher would evaluate us on obviously how the presentation went, but also how we structured the presentation. So they would be looking at us, okay, where did they get the material and things like that.
Wow.
But once I went back to Japan, it was all about remembering.
Yeah.
How much can you cram in 2 weeks before your exam? So I think Japanese people are really good at memorizing things and being precise. Being precise, I think, is just their culture. But I wanted to ask you, so we live in a very interesting time right now. Some people say it's the next, like it used to be the Industrial Revolution, right? But now we're going into technology, AI is starting to evolve. And yeah, it's so, and we carry a phone all the time. Some people say that's just already an extension of our brain because we carry it wherever. It's kind of like another brain that we always carry around. We just don't recognize it yet. But if you think about it, that has all the answers, right? So the reason I'm saying this is because we don't really have to memorize things anymore. All the answers, like, what happened in a particular year doesn't really matter anymore. It's always good to have it in you because you can like kind of make decisions, with past history. I think that's important, but the sense is it doesn't really matter how much you can cram. Right. It's more about
how you can process
how
that
to cooperate,
information.
how to work in teams and be creative. And also kind of differentiate yourself with what humans can do. So I think it's really important now that it kind of falls back into why I think Hawaii is going to become so special for more people in the near future is it's a place where you can kind of go inside, kind of feel. Mindfulness is one of the popular words that are like coming up right now. So I was wondering, like, like the school that you're thinking about doing over here, do you have any plans on what kind of schools that you want to do?
Yes, we do.
So what are you doing now here?
Here,
Excuse me.
so at the ranch we're creating the school, we're creating the space.
Okay, so
And-
that's what you guys are getting ready for.
Yes, yeah, and our vision for the school is to be model for our future.
Okay.
And so we want to create what we want the future to look like. We want the kids who come here to think about what their future would look like and how to make that future. And I think you said earlier, what we were saying about our future, it looks like technology and this, but we want to open up the conversation that the future doesn't have to be led by technology. We can create whatever we want, and what you saw in the garden, that could be our future, where we actually do live outside with less technology, but that's just up to us. So that's the kind of philosophy that I think we're trying to promote at our school. And the big thing is, even with the phone, kids don't interact with nature anymore. They see it on their phone, on their iPad, so they think they know, but they don't know. Right?
They don't know.
They don't know.
They think that they know.
They think, but until you you try to make your own fire, you don't know. I know how to make fire, but until you do it, you don't know. So this is a place where we want the kids to experience nature, and especially what's one of the big things that's happening in the world is that where the climate change and everything is shifting, and we're coming to a place where
do you feel the climate change?
Personally,
yeah. What do you?
I hear it all the time with the weather changes, the patterns, right? So there's we have a lot more the longer droughts, or when I was in Bhutan, for example, that was really eye-opening because here in Hawaii we hear about sea level rise.
I see it on the
you see the
on the east side going up to North Shore. If you go along that
on the
coastline,
road, the beach is getting
happening.
small.
Waikiki even there's not enough sand right now.
They're bringing sand from other places. I think. And when I visited Bhutan, it was really interesting because their climate change comes from a different form, and they call it.
They see the climate.
They call it GLOF, which is a glacial lake outburst flood. And
so
because
it's coming from the glacier?
So the glaciers are melting faster, and so the lakes that fill up, it bursts with so much
Really?
water. Yeah, and it wipes out villages.
Really?
Yeah.
It overflows.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened.
Which
in the
has
past.
yeah, which doesn't always happen, and now it happens more often than that. So a lot of the the villages that are right next to the river are having to move away.
It's happening though.
It's happening, exactly. So
It is getting warmer.
it is, yeah, and it shows up in different ways, but the climate is changing all over
It
the
is.
world, yeah, and it's doing weird things, and people are like kind of freaking out. I mean, what we're saying this year, Australia right now is like the hottest it's been in hundreds of years and things like that. So I mean, these things are happening, and I think that humans really need to adjust to figure out, for one, like how do we live in this new climate,
Right.
and then of course too, like how do we stop
Or prevent
using
it.
like using all that
I don't know
fossil
if we can,
fuels, and
like, I don't know if we can stop it.
we have to change something.
We
though,
gotta
right?
change. I think it goes down to our values and perspectives. What
Yeah.
do we value?
What do we value? Yes, and what's important, and what makes life worth living, really.
I think so.
Right.
I think that's the core subject that I want to focus on, because everybody has different values and beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have different values, so it's about culture. We have the people that gathered today here have a similar culture and beliefs. That's why we're here. Somebody in a different country has different beliefs and culture, but I think we all want to thrive. We want to have a better life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's what meaning we put into that good life.
Right. How do you define a good life? Even?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it about having a big house,
Mhm.
buying like nice cars, the traditional type of, is that a good life? Or even today, just walking around in the garden and kind of picking the fruits and like the leaves and really tasting and smelling. I saw you like kind of walking around and picking the leaves and the herbs and kind of smelling it. I think there's a lot. I think human beings are emotional beings, so I think life is richer when you have emotional, even bad and good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it goes down
That's
to.
true,
So it's
yeah.
it's never really about the good. You always have to have. It's painful at some times, but I think that pain can also be, because
You can
it
add, make your life richer, or
I totally think so.
Yeah. Yes, it's true for sure.
When you go to Japan, like I think Japan is one of the best countries in the world. It's so clean. The people are nice.
Food is amazing.
Food is amazing.
I
It's
love
cheap,
it.
right?
Culturally, everything is beautiful.
It's such a great country, but there's a lot of problems that Japan faces. A lot of people don't thrive. They want ante ga hoshii. They're happy where they are. I don't want to become a manager. I don't want to become a CEO. I don't want to. That's not my future in starting my own. Everybody has different aims and goals, but in particular, like they're happy where they are now. And then the suicide rate is pretty big as well in Japan.
Right.
So that's a big issue. But I think one other reason is when that becomes a standard, like that's the culture that you were born and raised in, and that becomes a set standard, you really don't have that lot of like stuff to work in. If you go to the Philippines, everybody's super happy. If you go to Mexico, everybody's super happy, but they don't have a lot, but they're so happy.
Why do you think?
There's two ways to seeing that. I think family is one. They're really close.
Yeah,
If you go to
communities.
Mexico or if you go to the Philippines, they live in groups in their own family. Your
Right.
oji-chan, oba-chan lives next door in generations
Right.
and generations. The Filipinos I respect a lot because they work really hard. Even the Mexicans, not the men, the women work really hard. The women work really hard over there. It's true though. I saw it. I went there for a year. I went back and forth to
Really?
Guadalajara.
You're allowed to say that.
I don't know. That's what I
That's so
saw though.
funny.
But I really think the future is in women.
No, that I agree for sure. I mean,
It's interesting when you go to Mexico and you see a lot of statues. They're women. The statues that I saw in Mexico, there are a lot of women statues. That was interesting.
that's really interesting. Yeah, I wonder why. Because women work harder in
I
Mexico.
don't know if it's the harder part, but like I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, with me and going back to the education, I was never a straight A student or never good at school or anything, but it was in Mexico that really triggered me into education and doing this right now, which I ever thought I would be doing. But when I was in Mexico doing sales for the automotive industry. So I would talk to Japanese corporations, the makers like Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and then we would ask them to make certain car parts in our factories that we had in Mexico. So I would be going to all these locations in Mexico, and I'd be driving back with the plant manager. There was one night where we were driving back into our own plant, and we were talking about how everybody, 80 to 90% of the population is in poverty, and maybe 10 to 15% is like the middle class, and only 1% is what they call the high class. So we were talking about, so if the majority of the people are poor, how come a revolution doesn't happen? Because they could overrun, right?
Right.
But the person that the plant manager told me is because they haven't been educated, they don't know how to start a revolution. And that really was like, but they go to school, right? They go to school and they go to like junior school and high school. So, but they don't get taught on how to make a revolution.
Right. Yeah.
Or revelation. So
The
that's when I
pedagogy
thought
of the
like,
craft.
wow, the education is so valuable. And the education system hasn't changed in such a long time. You know, cars, for example, you know, it used to be horses, and it evolved, and now we've got like electric cars. Phones used to be huge. The mobile phone, the first mobile phones used to be huge. But now we have like these touch panel phones. But if you look at schools,
Yeah.
it's always, there's one teacher and there's a full room of students, and for some reason each biological year that we get older, we go up a class. But we're all different. Some people learn fast, some people learn slow, some people have different interests in different subjects. So I think because of the world's changing so much, it used to be the school education system was made in the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
So
It's
they
to
wanted,
get people ready for the Industrial
Right?
Revolution. Yeah.
so you hear the bell ring, and
yeah.
that's
It's
when
like
you stop.
factory work.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's similar, right?
Yeah,
like
no,
at
it
school,
really is.
And then you have your manager telling you what to do. So
Yeah.
it's really similar to what the school did
Right.
for us.
And then now now that there's enough technology that we're not workers in factories.
No,
We need to
got,
change,
like, machines
yeah.
that can do that for us now.
Yeah, right. So that's what's happening. What's interesting in education, I think, in Hawaii, I hear that all over. I mean, everybody's talking about revolutionizing education, and it's exciting
It
to
is, isn't
hear. And I guess the vision here is part of that is rather than changing an old school, why don't we just start a school from scratch? And we
Yeah.
have this whole it's an open book, right? We can do whatever we want right now, and I feel like we've been working on it at the right time because everybody's ready for something
Everybody
different.
needs it.
Yeah. And then for us, I mean, again, our purpose for our school is to get kids close to nature, to understand, to build that relationship. So in the future, whatever decision they make, it's not going to be against this planet, right? It'll be something that'll be good.
Well, whatever they do in their life or their career, they'll have a root of a connection that they spent time with nature.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that time that they spend over here, it'll kind of change the way they make decisions.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. That's the hope.
I think that'll be so valuable. Like I still like when I was raised in Denver, I was close with nature. You know, we were like going up the mountains, and we would make forts and go to creeks and catch fish and crayfish and frogs and things like that. But it makes you respect nature and how much it can. I mean, there's so much you can learn from nature as well.
Yeah. And you can like just play by yourself in nature.
It's so fun.
It's entertaining. I
It's
mean,
so
like, watching birds or even the winds, and there's so much to do, and we forget that. These days kids are like, oh, I don't have my game. What do I do out here? But once you give them the chance, they'll just find all these interesting creatures. Or like whenever we've had kids here and they run around in the garden, I mean, they're just like fascinated with everything, and they want to eat things, and they find little bugs, and You know, that's just the
it's
best
amazing what you
memory.
guys do here.
Their identity includes nature. They say that is what's the most,
That's true.
the best, what is it, indicator for environmental action in the future. They
That's
say
true.
it's identity. And that's why, you know, the Hawaiian people and all the indigenous cultures, they identify themselves, you know, they see the sun as their brother or their father, or, you know, nature is their family, right?
That's
The kalo
interesting how
here.
they see that. Like, they
Yeah.
don't see it as a-
It's like not a separate thing.
No,
Yeah.
it's part of them. Or
Exactly,
they see
yeah.
it as another identity or like
Yeah, they're
another
extension
person.
of yeah, who they are. So, and we should develop, you know, reestablish that sort of familial connection.
It'd be awkward for a person that was been living and born in the in the city.
Right, to suddenly be like,
What's that guy doing? Like,
yeah.
is he talking to us? Oh, he's talking to the plants.
Yeah. But I do believe, like, if you know, that's why we want little kids who'll be here every day, so that's normal
think that's
for
a
them.
really nice age. for
Yeah,
us to do that.
you know, and it just becomes normal. And then imagine those little kids hanging out with these city kids who come for
Right.
like a week-long program,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, this is how we are here, you know, like a cross-generational
Yeah.
communication, or how
Yeah.
interesting would that be? And you know, little kids can show them how to make fire, like, oh, I can do
Right.
that here, you know, and